Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. It's Brandon. I'm showing you a different room in my house, although I'm not going to give you too much of an overview of what's in it. Although I will say I'm on a couch that's humongous, and maybe I'll do a quick shot. And also, we have a big TV down here, and I'll show you that because it's a pretty sweet TV also. But I posted on the Campbell Fitness Facebook page, and I'm sure probably some of the people saw it on Twitter. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get to the Twitter questions if there are any, but I said, I was thinking about doing a Q&A only because I've never done one before. I was just going to do a Sunday conversation, and my Sunday conversation topic was going to be about, our videos kind of getting stale as far as fitness related ones go on YouTube, and I think that's something I'm going to want to talk about. But as I was thinking about that, I was thinking about, what do people want to see? And I figured I'd go ahead and do a Q&A type video because that way I'd answer the questions that you guys want. Now with this, I posted it right before I kind of addressed all the emails I had for the day. It's typically what I like to do, sit down first thing in the morning and answer all my questions. And while I was doing that, I put up a quick post and said, hey, ask a quick question, I'll try to answer on video. And within an hour, I got tons and tons of comments. I cut it off around 60. I'm going to try to address all of the ones that I saw before I put that post up. Although there's already some after it, even though I asked you guys not to ask anymore, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm going to try to keep these maybe in parts, depending on how long they take. The camera shuts off roughly around 12 minutes because of the sensor. That's how most of these DSLRs work, so if you don't know what kind of camera I'm using for this, you can kind of check the video previous to this and it'll answer it. So I'm going to try to go quick through some of these. I got my iPad right here, only because I don't want to spend a ton of time. If it's something that I get asked a lot, maybe I can do a video on that topic in general, but I want to get through all these, so some of these might be kind of quick. So the first question asks, is there any new Crockpot recipes? And it's funny you asked that. I was actually going to buy some stuff to make one today. Most of the Crockpot recipes that I make are of the pulled variety, whether it be pulled pork, pulled chicken, barbecue, buffalo. I did a pot roast the other day, which I posted a picture on Instagram of. If you're interested, you can check out my Instagram and see that. Some people asked for the recipe on that, so I might do a crock pot recipe as far as making a pot roast goes. And with that, it just is going to vary depending on the cut of meat you make. So yes, I will do some more crock pot recipe videos. If you have anything specific that you'd like to see me make, again, feel free to leave those in the comment section below. The next question is, how much do you weigh and what's your body fat percentage? So right now, as of today, I weigh 225 pounds. My body fat percentage, I have no idea. If I had to guess, I would say roughly around 13 to 14%. Body fat isn't something I really gauge myself off of just because it's a number in my mind, and instead what I do is I try to go off the mirror. So as long as I look how I want, then that's all that really matters to me, regardless if I'm 12%, 11%, 10%, whatever. I am going to go on a cut soon. I need to drop some weight. I've had a little bit too much fun this winter, so you guys should be seeing some information about that. But as of right now, 225, I'd say around 13 to 14%. Next question says, how many dead hang pull-ups can you do? I haven't done this in a long, long time. The last time I did pull-ups to failure was a couple of months ago. And I could do 20 something, but I don't know if I'd say that's a complete dead hang. It's not something I do a ton of just because based off my goals and increasing strength, doing that many repetitions of the exercise isn't really beneficial in my mind for the most part. Strength endurance, definitely, but for what I'm trying to do right now, I haven't really maxed out, so I can't give you a completely accurate answer on that. The next question on here says, do you recommend any different approach to training as you get older? And if so, what and why? As far as training goes and the approach I take, it does cater, yes, based on age a little bit and capacity, but more of just how long you've been in the gym and what your body's accustomed to. Whereas when you first start training, you can do a lot more frequent routines. As you get more and more advanced, the frequency might have to dissipate a little bit, and you have to look at the way you train, the rep ranges, and stuff like that. But if you're an older athlete and you're still brand new to training, it's going to differ depending on that. So it's more, I would say, not age related directly, but time spent in the gym. And again, we'll probably do a video on that in the future going forward. Next question on here is, what is a deload routine and what is it for? The way I look at deloads, and I think I've done a video on this already in the past, is I look at deloads as an active recovery week. So when you put your body through tremendous amounts of stress, sometimes it's good to give yourself a break from that so you can recuperate and you don't completely fry your system. I look at a deload as a way to do this without truly leaving the gym. So for many of us who love being in the gym, a deload week is a way to use a less percentage of weight in the gym, but still actually go without taking a full week off. And if you're more interested in seeing a deload, again, check my video on that, as I do have one. Continuing on, let's see, and I apologize if I stutter a little bit between these questions. I'm just trying to look at this without my iPad going to sleep either. What kind of weights to do if you also doing martial? Okay, so this person's asking, what kind of weights should you do if you're also doing other kinds of training like MMA or jiu-jitsu, wrestling, Muay Thai? To me, it's going to depend what your goals are. If your goals are to build muscle, then obviously the weights you're going to do in the program you're going to do should be in line with that goal. Just like if your goal is to increase strength, you should have the rep ranges in place to do that. So it really depends on your goals. A lot of people might look for more explosive movements in this case if you're doing a sport. So again, it's really going to cater depending on what your own personal goals are and what you're trying to accomplish. What's the best way to make a weekly workout program? Well, if you don't have a lot of experience, in my opinion, the best thing to do is go with a tried and true program at first, and then after you've done it for several weeks or several months in some cases, then you can go ahead and kind of make changes to it. I find one of the big issues people have when they make their own routines, and I make my own routines too, but one of the big issues is we tend to stick with what we're comfortable with and what we're good at. So for example, if we don't feel like we're very good at squats or deadlifts or certain exercises, when we make our own routines, we tend to avoid those things because we don't like to do them because we're not good at them. On the other hand, if you go with a routine like starting strength or strong lifts 5x5 or things like Wendler where those exercises are built into the program, I think that's beneficial to us because it makes us actually do that. So as far as to answer your question, best way to make a weekly workout program, try a lot of stuff out there, see what you respond best to, and then go off of that. But again, try to think outside the box in some cases and don't get away from those compounds that have shown to be proven over the course of the years. Next question, you like going out on the weekend? So this is a question, get a little shit-faced and yucky with the boys. Newport has an awesome bar scene, so I was just wondering, so this is Steven. So to answer your question, I'm 32 now. I don't go out hardly as much as I used to. I probably drink, I would say, on average, maybe once per week, and I don't really get shit-faced anymore just because, not that I don't like to do it, it's just my mindset's not the same anymore. When I was growing up, when I was in college, when I was in my 20s, living in Newport, I lived in Newport for a long time. So Newport is kind of like a touristy attraction town for where I live in Rhode Island. If you guys watch Family Guy, it's where Lois's family is from. So it's kind of hidey-tidy, but it's right by the water. There's a lot of bars and stuff like that. I used to go out all the time, and it's probably a reason why I don't have as much money as I used to have, only because it gets very expensive to do that. But I don't mind going out. If you look at my fitness pal, I went out last night, I had a couple beers, I actually tracked my drinks, which I don't typically do, but my girlfriend was there and she was doing it too, so I was like, God damn, if she's tracking her drinks, I gotta do this too, so I stepped my game up. But I still go out on occasion, I don't really let it bother me. If I was in a contest prep, it would probably be different, but because my goal set is more just for overall well-being in life, having a couple drinks is fine. I don't really see a problem with that. Next question is, what do you prefer, barbells or dumbbells? And to me, it's going to depend on the lift. I predominantly like barbell movements if possible, only because I like to move a heavier amount of weight. It makes me feel better about myself, as weird as that may sound. I do love dumbbells as well, as I feel you get different activation with them. In most often cases, I get the most common question with this, let me kind of expand on your question maybe, is in regards to chest training. So what I typically do is I'll start with one chest movement, and if I do barbells, I'll do a second chest movement right after, which will be dumbbells, and vice versa. Maybe the next week I'll start with dumbbells, then move to barbells. So I like to alternate, as I feel that's probably the best. How to increase strength in a compound exercise, progressive overload, progressive tension. Whenever you stall out or plateau, and I think there's a couple other questions with this, one of the first things I look at is both frequency and volume. So there are two kind of things that you can play around with to go forward. Let me get a time check. So we're going on 9 minutes. I'll answer a couple more and I'll cut this one short. The next question, my favorite recipe. Well, you've probably seen it. My favorite recipe that I have is probably that pulled buffalo chicken. I could eat that stuff all day, every day, and plus it lasts a couple days because I usually make a couple pounds at a time. And again, it's very easy to make, and buffalo anything is a win in my book. The next question, tits or ass bro? So I'm assuming you're talking about what I like on a female, and I know this is going to be kind of a common answer, but it doesn't really matter. I don't necessarily have a preference. It really depends on the individual, I guess I would say. Either way, it's a win-win situation in my book. So next question, once you've hit your desired weight, body fat after cutting, should you maintain that for a while before bulking again? My personal opinion on this would be yes. I don't like to necessarily jump into cuts or bulks overnight, so I would probably maintain. I mean, if you're cutting, most people want to maintain that and show it off. I mean, there's a reason you're cutting, because you want to look shredded, you want to look muscular. I would enjoy it. So what most people would do is probably cut and then maintain through the warm months here in the States, and then come winter, that's when they would start bulking. So my personal opinion on this would be, yes, maintain for a little bit, or if you really want to start bulking again, go on a slow controlled bulk just so you don't get really fat all of a sudden again. Next question, how long do carbs take to turn into glucose, usable quick energy, to be able to time it for a pre-workout meal? Depending on what you eat, digestion times are going to vary tremendously. If you're really worried about pre-workout and having something pre-workout, I mean, you could do something as simple as throw some dextrose or something like that into your pre-workout shake with you. I really wouldn't sweat it too much. I'm not really big on nutrient timing as it is anymore. So in this case, like I said, if it's something that's necessary for you, you could do something like as easy as dextrose right in a pre-workout shake. Otherwise, you know, I like to give myself roughly an hour, just because eating whole food, I like to let the food sit for a little bit. So going on here, I'm going to cut it just because the camera's probably about to die. So this will be part 1. We'll come right back and we'll do part 2. So just 1 second, guys.